Hi, my name is Karen Rose, and I write romantic thrillers where it's kind of like a combination between Law and Order with the police procedure and ER with all the drama and the love. My latest release is this book called Say You're Sorry, and it's my first book in my California series. It's set in Sacramento, and it's the first book of a planned 3, but who knows how much further I'll go. I'll write until the story's done. The first book is about Daisy Dawson, who readers have met in previous series, but she's always been kind of like a peripheral character. But this is her book, and Gideon Reynolds, and Gideon is an FBI agent. Daisy is assaulted in an alley. She manages to get away from her assailant, who turns out to be the serial killer. And she is able to grab a necklace from his throat as she's escaping. And it turns out that necklace is a link to a cold case that Gideon has been pursuing for 17 years. So, and that's how the story starts. I just love to chat, and I like to meet readers who love books. If they love my books and they love my characters, we talk about them like they're real people. I like to hear about their lives. Like, it always makes me feel good when they say that my books have been an escape for them, like, you know, if it's helped them in some way. But mostly I just like to talk to people. Well, readers all over the world are really the same. They love a good story. In my case, and which makes me happy, they love to read stories about murder. So that works. I think some regions probably like it better than others. And some regions read more than others. So, but I primarily, when I tour either in Germany, I've toured in the UK, I've toured a couple other places, but my German readers tend to be the most enthusiastic. And at one point, I offered to, if anybody wanted to be killed off in a book, because people love to be killed off in books. And in fact, there was a lady who came to my table last night at the Jazz Fest, and she'd wanted to be killed off in a book back in 2008. So I did, and she still, every time she sees me, I'm the one you killed off in the book. I said, you're the one that the fishes ate your face off in the Chesapeake Bay, and we have a good laugh. So anyway, all these Germans that came and they signed a paper, and I have like 30 Germans that want to be killed off in a book, and I'm like, this is going to take me forever because incorporating all those names. But it's mostly that, you know, I could kill off like a tour bus full of Germans, but I won't do that. My editor would let me do that. She's got a soft heart. So it's going to take me a while, but everybody around the world likes to be killed off in the books. Okay, I am a member of a group called Starfish, and quite lucky to be. I'm probably the last person to join. There are 7 of us. And like I said, I've only been part of the group since 2014. And I was invited by Cheryl Wilson, who asked me for years to join, and I kept thinking, I don't know. I mean, it's like, you know, what if they want to write when I don't want to write? And the year I joined was the year I had a really bad accident. I was thrown from a horse, and I was in a lot of pain. And I ended up writing that book with my arms propped on pillows because I couldn't move my arm. And it was that group, that the acceptance, the accountability, knowing I was going to make a phone call 4 times a day to talk to other writers and that they were going to be expecting me to write during that hour. It's the only reason I finished that book. And they welcomed me in with open arms. I've made really good friends, and I consider myself quite fortunate. And the last book I finished, I'm like, why isn't this coming together? And then I realized it was because that was the one book in many that I had not plotted with the group. And then I realized how much I knew how valuable it was, but then I realized really how valuable I was finding it. Well, I think a reader contract is also another word for genre fiction, which some people think is a bad thing, but I think to me, it's a fact. You know, like, oh, it's genre fiction. Well, yeah, everything's a genre. That's how we figure out where the books are going to be in the bookstore. You know, horror is horrifying. If you're not horrified or scared, the horror writer did not do their job, or they did not fulfill their contract to you as the writer. Romances have a happy ending. Period. Even though my high school class, when I was a teacher, thought that was, they thought it was passé and trite. And I'm like, no, it's the definition of a romance. And they thought Romeo and Juliet was a romance, which of course it is not. It is a tragedy because they all die in the end, but they thought that was very romantic, which is different. Romantic is different than a romance. And so the contract in a romance is that A, there'll be a happy ending, and B, if it's a romantic suspense, the killer will get their just desserts. Now, it might be that if it's a part of a bigger story arc, not all of the villains will get their just due in the end. You might have a villain that gets away, but eventually that villain will get justice. And I feel like those are my two contracts. Now, I have other ones that are kind of like subcontracts where the hero and the heroine are always going to live. They will probably get hurt in future books, but they will never die in future books. And I don't write paranormal, so I can't kill them and resurrect them. The villain will always get their due, but no children or pets are harmed along the way. No pets are ever harmed. I learned this the hard way because I didn't let them die, but I let 2 pets get hurt defending their owner, which I thought was quite heroic on their part. And to this day, I get email. I'm so glad that the dogs didn't die. And I'm like, the killer killed and dismembered high school cheerleaders. Nobody's ever upset about that. They're just upset that the dogs got hurt. So I learned the hard way to never hurt the dogs. I mean, the books have murder for sure. The bad guy always gets his due at the end. I mean, that's kind of a reader contract. I think the thing I hope they enjoy most, though, is the interaction between the characters. The fact that most of my characters have a dark past. They're able to get past it. There are characters who are victims. Some of them are victims from past books who manage, again, to persevere and to find freedom, in their own lives, so that they can you don't ever get past it, you don't ever get over it, but you can move on, and that they find the strength to move on. And so many times I find that strength in the others in the book, and I love it when readers say, such and such a thing happened to me, and I could never talk about it, but then I read your book and it gave me the strength to talk about it, or it let me know I wasn't alone, or it gave me hope. And that's the thing I really hope that readers get out of my books.